Hello everyone. Welcome to the Theme Workshop. My name's Brian. I'm the product manager of LaunchBox. Welcome in. This is the Theme Workshop where you can come in, ask any theme related questions, and I will do my very best to answer, or leave a comment on any one of these videos, and I will also do my very best to answer those as well. Hope you're doing great this Friday afternoon. It's a chilly one here in Canada, but it's a great one. I always love when I can bring these streams on and can show off some themes and maybe create one for the community. So that's the plan for today. Ernesto, welcome in. Hope you're doing good today. I know I haven't been able to stream the last few weeks, and it's been a busy last few weeks, but we're hopefully all of those new people that have joined the LaunchBox community over the last few weeks, hopefully you're taking advantage of all of those wonderful themes that have been coming out over the last few years. Especially we've had a lot of themes come out this year, and we had a lot of theming related updates that have made a lot of themes possible now, and I'm hoping that today I can build a new one for you guys as well. Callie, hope you're doing well today. You're welcome. You said thanks for streaming. Always love it. It's always a good day when I can pop that stream and do something for you guys. If you have any questions, let me know, or else I'm going to go on to what I found out. So basically, maybe a week ago or so, I was watching a YouTube video, and I was really interested in I've been following the whole 1UP arcade since they started releasing cabinets, and it's been interesting to see their development over the last bunch of years. And I was watching a video about that Marvel Superheroes 1UP arcade, and got to a point in the video where they were showing off the menu, and of course, knowing me, I'm looking at it and thinking, could I do this in big box? Is there a way to make something similar? Maybe not exactly. And that challenge is always alluring to me. So I grabbed a really crappy screenshot of what it looks like, and today I'm gonna give it a shot, see if I can recreate all of these elements somewhat, maybe not exactly, but something similar anyway, and put that little big box flare on it and see if big box is up to the task there. Cody Man Themes, welcome in. And Ernesto, you're glad Dave is back with his new PC. That is right. So for people that haven't followed, Dave, the guy that created the community theme creator, he is his computer, his laptop that he builds the community theme creator on broke down, and now he's finally got his new laptop in hand, and he's been busy working on some updates for all of us. And Ernesto, you've seen those arcade 1UP cabinets in Walmart. They're not as common here, unfortunately, in Canada. They are around. I do believe Walmart is one of the ones that sells them, although you're probably hard pressed to see them in the actual stores, maybe once in a while. But yeah, I mean, it's always been one of those things. I've always loved the idea of having an arcade cabinet, and if you don't have enough space and you're looking in your house and you're looking to still want that experience, getting sort of like a miniature size one is definitely something that I would love to have. But let's see if we can do something like this, right? And Ernesto, you were thinking about purchasing one to mod it, to get LaunchBox on there. I would do the same thing, right? I would definitely try the same exact thing. And it seems like there's lots of videos out there to mod those sort of things. So, which leads me to believe that they're popular enough that people have sort of joined that scene. And CB's trick is to drive to the rural Walmarts. they'll have some. They have to keep a certain number on site, and they just don't have enough to support that number, really. I'm almost curious if it works the same way in Canada as it does in the States. I don't know if Walmart has sort of different distribution rules. And Riaz, you'd love the original Moon Cresta cabinet. UK name. I think it went by another name in the US. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a cabinet like that before or heard about that. Let's see if I can quickly look that up. Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool, right? If you could mod something like that. That looks very classic with the wood paneling. And Cody Man Themes, what's the specs for a PC to run Big Box? That's an interesting question. Now remember that it would all depend on how much fancy artwork and stuff you want to throw on it, how many games that you have, right? If you're sitting there and thinking I'm going to have 20 to 50,000 games, and each one I want 10 different images with on average with a video, that's a lot of space. And if you want that to load right, you will need a nice PC for Big Box to run that. And Atari Salonu, welcome in. Hope you're doing well this Friday. So, I mean, let's jump right in. Let's see if we can get something like this using the community theme creator. Now, one thing that I noticed when I was looking at this is that we will probably not be able to do everything in the community theme creator. We will need to take advantage of that excellent new flow control that came in earlier this year. And I know Dave is working on getting that into the community theme creator, but it's not quite there yet. So after we publish the theme, we will have to take the published files, dive into the code, convert the flow control that deals with the wheels, and convert it to the new flow control. And then we'll go from there and we'll see if we can sort of build this inside of that flow control. To me, it looks like a clear logo, a border, a background color, and clear logo up here, maybe a screenshot / video maybe down here, something like that. We'll see. That's what I'm thinking. Noise Core Wrap, welcome in. Happy you're here. Hopefully everybody is definitely having a good day today. I mean, it's Friday. It's got to be a good day for most of us. Let's take a look. Let's open up the community theme creator. Like always, all links below if you want to download the community theme creator and you haven't had the pleasure of using it before. There should be a link to the download of the program. Retro 808. Welcome in. Something to keep you busy during the conference call. You seem to have a lot of those conference calls. Hopefully they're not too boring for you. Oh, and there you go, Noise. Well, you just got your big box license. Do you know how you could get BIOS files working on LaunchBox? Well, first, welcome in to the community. Glad that you're part of the LaunchBox community now. The BIOS files working in LaunchBox, you're essentially, I'm assuming, if it's a RetroArch, if that's what you're talking about, then you would just place your BIOS files in your RetroArch system folder, the ones that you need. Right? LaunchBox will just launch games into RetroArch and then use your BIOS files that you have there. Some systems, we do have a built-in sort of process that when you're importing a particular system, that it will ask you whether you want to place a particular BIOS file that's required, but not all systems do that. I'd say most of the common ones. But if you just want to get out of the way, just take any BIOS files that you have, stick them into your RetroArch system folder, and you'd be good to go. And there are other emulators that require BIOS files or other files, and you'll have to do the same for those emulators on a per emulator basis. Make sure that the rule of thumb is, make sure that your emulator will work and launch games, and then import it into LaunchBox. And then you should be good to go. Okay, I don't know what to call this theme, but I think the benefit of a theme like this would be if you have those screens that are not quite a aspect ratio that's popular, maybe a 4:3, a 5:4, all of that stuff will should conform to a theme like this. Well, if I do it properly. So we'll see if I can accomplish that. I'll have this sort of reference image in the background because I'm sure I'm going to need that. And noise core wrap, yeah, you got to get them in early, right? You got to get those kids in early with all the cool retro games. So I'm glad that that's the goal for you. I try to do the same thing for my nephews. Hook them in early, get them interested in Mario and Zelda, Sonic, all those classic characters that we grew up with that might not be as popular these days, although Mario's probably the most popular at the moment than he's ever been. Okay, new theme. We're gonna create a new theme. I don't know what to call it. Arcade 2-Up. How about that? Wow, that's a not a great name, but it lets me start the process. Let's take a look. I'll probably need a horizontal wheel, so we're going to jump over to the horizontal wheel games view, and let's jump in. Yeah, we can always change that name, right, Ernesto? I'll change it later when I've got some time to think. And there you go, 1-Up. I could always call it 1-Up. That's a good one. Maybe I'll write that down. Seabeats is knee deep in code, or is it head deep in code? How deep are you exactly? All right, so let's take a look. So by creating the theme, it would have created a whole bunch of folder structures for me. And I'm going to jump into that folder structure by creating an image here, going to the media folder button, the browse button here, and it's going to open up where I need to place all my images. So here you go. You can see I've got my community theme creator folder. Inside of that is my theme projects, and the Arcade 2-Up, which is the theme name, and then the media folder. So that's where all of my files should be located. I did go ahead and gather a bunch of media from previous themes that I did. A couple things that I did here, if I remember correctly. Let's rename this so it makes sense. I'll just call it publisher logos. I grabbed a bunch of logos. They're not the best quality, but there's like 2,000 of them. So, I mean, that pretty much covers the spectrum. They're all named properly. This will help if I'm wanting to display either publisher or developer image instead of just having text. So it won't cover all of them, I'm sure, but it'll get most of them there. I also grabbed these retro style star ratings that I created a while ago, but don't actually use anymore. So I thought I'd grab them and use them in this theme. And the way that this works is that you can see there's quite a few images, 52 images in total. Each one represents a number. So if the star rating for a game was 1.2 out of 5, it will look for 1.2.png and display this image. So let's take that. And then I've got a couple theme things that I have here. A background that I can use, and an arrow that I'm hoping is useful. Let's see if it is. I'll grab all of this stuff and I'm going to paste it into here. And noise, you say, do you have to create a media folder to put all of your videos for all of your games? No, that's something separate. So what I'm doing here is, if you're wanting to create your own theme from scratch, I'm going to build a custom theme that everybody can use. But if you're just wanting to have your own media for your games, you want to import your games, have images and stuff, these themes will use your own media. So you don't have to do anything that I'm doing here. You're just going to benefit from the result of what I do if you decide to use this theme. If you're wanting to get videos, you'll just have to download videos. There's many different ways that you can do that. The integrated built-in way to do that is that you would need an MU Movies account, and you will have to, I believe it has to be a premium account, and then a video option will appear when you download media for your games. Alright, media is good to go, which is great. So let's start at the beginning here. I probably want a background. So let's do a background group, and that background, I wanted it to be a video, so a user-defined video. I went ahead and found one. It's not quite the same, but gives it like a nice, it's apparently a looped video. Gives it that bokeh effect with some laser lines or something. Let's see what we can do with this. So what I'll need to do is, this is a 16:9. I could just stretch this. Let's see what it looks like if I stretch it to the size. I mean, it's hard to see. Instead of doing a stretched aspect ratio, I'm gonna go to a 4:3 just for now, and see. Stretching actually doesn't look too bad, to be honest. You wouldn't have known that this video is being stretched. Cool. So then I can just full screen it, and we're good to go there. And you went deep with that metaphor. See, the first Atlantis cartoon from Disney. That mole character in there. Oh man. But yes, understood. Hopefully it's going well though. All right, so let's take a look at this. I might as well full screen this guy. Let's lock things to the canvas for now, so I can stretch this out. We'll leave it here just in case people want to use the index. At this point, I don't really need to see it. Let's do a new group and we'll create some frames. And if I'm remembering correctly, let's take a look. There's like these lines at the top and the bottom. Let's see how I'm going to do that. I don't know why they're there, but let's add them and see if it helps. I'm assuming they just lines to segregate. The problem, I don't know why the bottom one exists, because there's nothing underneath there. Looks like there should be something there. Maybe I'll place something there. So we've got this frame, and one way that I can do this is I can remove the background of this, the foreground, so the border color will be white, and I can just add a top and bottom border. This might be too thick, maybe 3. Looks a bit better. And I'll just squish this up. There you go. There's our double. Ooh. There's our double lines. We'll just make it as large as we can. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Everything looks good. So this could be our top borders, and I can mess with the positioning later. Maybe this could be the group for the top frame. So if that's true, then I can create an image, call this image, maybe in the top left I'll put the platform logo. So down here I just gotta bring up metadata and tell it display the platform clear logo. That should work. I should have really checked what I'm on right now. I feel like that might be too small. Give it some space. We'll save out of this and we'll switch to arcade. Arcade seems like a good one. What's a good arcade game? Let's go with a Street Fighter game. One that hopefully has some graphics so we can take advantage of what we're seeing here. Alright. I'm definitely not getting a logo showing up here. That's a little odd, but let's take a look if it's just an issue with the binding. I think I am using one of those bleeding edge versions of the Community Theme Creator. Yeah, it might just be that's the problem. That's okay. I don't necessarily need to use this version. It's something I can let Dave know for sure. Let's take a look at some of the other things. So gameplay. Okay, so that's working. So we're just missing that platform clear logo from working. We'll save out of that. I do have a version that I can use here. And all I have to do really is take my theme that I created and drop it into this official one. All right. All right, so let's go into the same theme. And there it is. Okay. I should probably change. I'll change it back to the arcade. Oop. The Street Fighter 3 versions. And we should be good to go. Okay, so for this logo, I'll probably center it out vertically and then just leave it there. That should be fine. I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste the exact same element, but in this time I guess we'll call it the publisher logo. Bring it down here and I'm going to move it to the other side, holding down Shift and using my cursor keys to move it over. Do a horizontal shift to the right. Okay, so far so good. And we're just going to change it from clear logo to publisher. And then I'm going to point this to the publisher logos folder. All right, so it did find a logo for Capcom. Who's the publisher of this? And we're going to probably make this a bit bigger, so give it some length, let it breathe. Save that out, see how it looks. So you do see that there are some positioning issues when using the aspect ratio. I know Dave is aware of them when using a 4:3 aspect ratio. Dave is aware of that, and I know he's been actively trying to solve that problem for all of us. Let's hope that there you go. Okay, so this wheel, currently we can't see what it's going to look like, but I'm going to position it in the place that I do feel it needs to go, which is probably something like that. I'm going to take a copy of this and I'm going to paste it. Correct the size a bit. Okay. And we'll use this as the bottom one. Something like that. So far, so good. So let's create a new layer. We'll call this the bottom frame. I'll put this one in there. Bottom borders. Try to keep everything neat and tidy. New image. This will be our star rating. We'll go down here to metadata and we will find our community or user rating. So it chooses one or the other. Oh. See if I can help with the spam here. Looks like I'm gonna have to log in to the live video portal. There we go. Okay, so that's gone. Let's see what else. So I was doing community star rating. So we're going to place the star rating folder. There we go. So this game in my LaunchBox is rated, looks like 4.6. What do you think? We got 3 of the 4 corners with some images. Well, so far so good. We got some sort of contextualized something. Got one more corner. In this case, I probably will just use text, maybe. What else do we want to see? I probably want to see the like how many players a game would need. So in this case, I'm going to create a doc. I'm I'm gonna use the max player metadata. I'm gonna switch to metadata, and then I'm going to find that maximum players. Give it some nice text font of some kind. We'll probably go to like a classic, maybe something nice like the Colas font. Raise this up to a respectable size. Also auto size the width and the height, so now this dock will just be the size of whatever's inside of it. And I'll copy and paste the exact same metadata and call this players. Which means we're going to have to change this to a constant value, and I'm just going to put space players. There you go. Oh, there you go. Cbeats. You want the play mode as well, eh? So that's something we can do. Let's make a copy of players. We'll paste it. This one will just be a dash. Space dash space. And then we'll do one more, copy and paste. And we'll call this play mode. And we just switch back to metadata and find play mode. I'm just gonna do the first play mode. I don't think I have space for much else other than that anyway. And there you go. Some of those arcade play modes are really long, like this one. 2 players simultaneous. Okay, so I'll just sort of center it, place it in the right spot. Although max player in this case and play mode are almost redundant to each other. Because if you use 2, it would be 2-2 player simultaneous. Would that make sense to you? I mean, we can do that. I'll let you guys mull that over. Would that make sense? I can always add it back or use one or the other. And Riaz, oh, it hurts your eyes. 2-2 player simultaneous. I almost like to use one or the other. I like the play mode in most situations, but there's some situations where the play mode is just telling you whether it's, you know, cooperative or multiplayer or not multiplayer. So I like the max player to tell me how many players I should expect this game to support. So both are sort of useful in their scenarios. We could do that. Well, then I would have to put something. We're getting pretty complicated. I wonder if I could do that. I probably could, right? Which means if I bring this back. So in this scenario, like I was saying, both seem to be useful. Some don't appear to be as useful as others. But, like you're saying, if I use visibility conditioning... Oh, CBs. We could potentially get to a point that makes sense. in this case, let's see what would the best way to do this would be. Make a dock, make another dock, put auto size on this dock, place these 3 elements inside of it. And then this dock put the visibility conditions. So essentially saying collapse it if play mode 1 values there contains. There's nothing that'll say contains a number, but I would have to put contains and then all the different numbers. Actually, I'm not sure if it will distinguish. We could try like less than or greater than or something like that, but I'm not sure if it'll distinguish all the other pieces of the data. I'm not really sure if it's like treating every piece of data within the, or the characters within the play mode metadata all as individuals, and if it's like, oh, I found a number somewhere, now I'll base that number off of the greater or less than value. But my hunch is that it doesn't, that won't work. That I can't just say like has a number. So therefore I would have to use contains in this scenario. And then I would have to find out, and something that can't really remember, how many of these actually have numbers, how many play modes actually have numbers, and what are those numbers. We can find that information out if I just right click any game, go into this area here, and if I just click the drop down, there's all the numbers. So from 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. Those are the numbers I would have to have a line for. 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. So I can do this way. I can actually make a copy of all of these values, and then paste them all over and over again until I've created all of the lines that I need. Therefore, I don't need to have one for every single value, but at least I'll cover all the ones that we support. Unless somebody creates their own personal play mode value, which is possible. I'm going to ignore that scenario though for this tutorial. So 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. Alright, I think we're okay. And then whenever it's these 3 at the bottom, cooperative, multiplayer, single player, it will display something. Though now I'm looking at that, I could probably eliminate the single player. That would be redundant as well. So if we're wanting to do that, collapse it if play mode 1 value is single player. Okay, so now we have these visibility conditions listed on this dock. Will it work? Let's find out. We can actually tell whether it's going to work on this game. There it goes. Yeah, it does work. Well, let's see, is there a game that has 3 or 4 players? Let's get rid of this. Let's go to X-Men. which does have a 4 and 6 player variant. I don't know which one the metadata. Okay, it's 4 players. So there you go. So we actually using both in tandem, and it's actually going to work pretty well, I think. Last piece of information I'll probably want is, so we'll create a new thing. We'll call this sort of the middle frame area. And I do want a release date, so I'll put that here. Maybe I'll just shove it in the middle. I did have some doubts, because you never know with these things, but I'm glad it worked out. Glad it worked out, that's for sure. Use the same font. We'll bring it up to maybe 75, and we'll just use the year. There you go. And just to make sure that it stays or remains center, we want to put 19XX as a fallback, just in case a user has a game they don't have a release date for some reason. To make sure it's center, actually, the way to make it center is just not auto size the width. Put that in the very center using the smart guides. There we go. And that should do it. And the very last thing is that I do have an image of an arrow. Been sort of debating whether to use this. I only have one of them because I feel like I could just use the same image for both scenarios, for both left and right. So within theme, I have this left arrow. The size of it is 100 by 100. Probably make it transparent just a little bit. And I'll place it off to the side to use something that will allow me to guide it into the middle. There it goes. And now we'll paste the same thing. Make sure it's the same 100 by 100. And we'll just flip it. 180. Oops. Almost 180. There we go. Push it off to the side. Let's hope that I'm close enough. No, not too bad. Okay, so I think we're pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. Let's take a look at our reference image. So we've got a top image, 2 top images that look fine. We've got the middle wheel, which we'll deal with next. We've got this, which I've switched to the year with a left and right button or arrows. I could always animate the arrows, but I feel like the animation would also be redundant. Maybe like an animation that will be continuous. Or I can have an animation that will animate based off of the movement of a user's left and right navigation. I do feel like that might be a little redundant though. And then we've added some metadata at the bottom here. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's do a few other views based off of what we have here. A couple that, one of the main ones that I'll definitely want to do is the text list views. They're mandatory, might as well have them look similar. So we'll go to text games view. And I'm just going to paste the entirety of that view into here. There we go. Gives us a good starting point. Really, the only thing that I'll have to deal with is this wheel, I believe. Let's look at what it would take to do this wheel. Do this wheel justice. Let's see. Let's make this a little more skinny here. Align this to the center, and now let's style our text lists. I'll bring this down a little bit. Actually, I'll leave that up. Why don't we leave that up? And instead, we'll use something that we don't often use on these themes, and that's, let's see if it's still here. I don't see it, so I'll do it another way. It's quite possible it was removed at some point. Alright, so I'll bring this down and I'll add my own clear logo. And we'll add an image. We'll call this the game clear logo. And we'll place that somewhere at the top here. Align it to the list that I have. Give it the same size as the wheel. And then we will push that up a little bit. Gonna make it align to the bottom vertically and then the center. And we'll just switch that to the game clear logo. There we go. Okay, and then down here with the wheel, I do want to do some stuff. I want to make a frame. And we're going to copy the wheel's layout, which does have a few bugs there. So instead of copying the frame's layout, we will use the XY position and the width. Perfect. Jump the wheel inside of there. And for this, what we'll have to do is, the reason why I wanted a frame is so that I can add some thickness to the sides. And then we'll take that wheel and we'll add a margin on either side of 10. All right. Change this to the same font we've been using. I think so far so good. It's looking pretty good. I will raise this to 27, see how that looks. Maybe I'll go all the way to 30. We'll make sure that it's trimmed to the character just in case the name is too long. And now let's deal with this. And right now, the best way that I have dealing with all of this stuff is that I don't think naturally all of these options work. I could be wrong. Let me double check that. So foreground up here is fine. This will tell me the foreground color. You know, you can change it. It changes for every single one. This is supposed to change for the selected item only. So if I can go down here and switch it to black as an example, it will not work. And that's because the preset number 1 currently doesn't have the option for this. But the one that does have the option for it is preset number 8. So what I would do is I normally make a copy of the entire preset number 8, create a new style. We'll just call it, what did I call this? 1UP. Name list. We're going to paste that, and this will be our starter style for this list. And this does have the ability to change just the selected item. And maybe I can pull like this color or something. There we go. So far so good. And we can also give it a background. So might as well give it a nice background. Maybe we can sit with white, but at a 50%. Maybe even less, 20. Slightly there. Okay, not bad. And I'm gonna give it some padding. So I'm gonna jump in here and add a padding to the top and bottom. See if that kind of centers it out. Cool. And Riaz, it's interesting how a company name, Capcom, Konami, can trigger the name of one game first before all others. And you know what? It's different for everybody else. So when you hear Konami, you think of Resident Evil. What does everybody else think of when you hear the word Konami? Because I bet everybody has a different answer to that, which is really cool. Yeah, I'm kind of digging this this text list. I think it looks pretty good. And CB's the question was, which game does it which game do you think of first when you hear the word Konami? All right, I'm feeling like we don't need these arrows on this view, but we could probably use some more images. So let me dump some images on the side here. So in this middle frame, we'll create an image. I don't know, what would we want to see? We've got the clear logo. On one side, we could definitely look at the box maybe. I think for me, when I hear the word Konami, I'm thinking Contra. I think that's the first game I'm thinking of. Let's do 3D or normal box. Why not that? We'll stick it on this side. And why don't we do something fancy with this game box? We'll say immediately move left or right. We'll say define location, so just make sure it's in the correct location when the page loads. But during navigation, we will tell it to go away from current location to off-screen left, and we'll tell it to be really quick about it. And then once somebody selects an item, we'll tell it to come back from current location to its defined location, which is right here. And give it a second before starting that for performance reasons, and then we'll tell it to come back. Let's say pretty quick, 0.8 seconds. Give it a cubic ease out. And Ernesto, you think of Dance Dance Revolution. That is a good question. Was that Konami? It was produced by Konami, the original. It's kind of funny that it was produced by them, and I don't necessarily think of it as a game that was made by them. But I, played it during its craze. I don't know. It kind of took over back in when was that? Early 2000s? Kind of took over. Everybody had to have one. Did everybody have one of those pads at home that you could play? Bring the arcade experience home on your original Xbox or something. And Nani, you're saying Konami equals Castlevania for you. There you go. Yeah, that's another really famous one. It's almost like Konami and Capcom. They have so many great games that everybody could have a different response to that question. And Ernesto, you still have 2 different pads. That's crazy. I feel like I still have mine in a box somewhere for my original Xbox. I wonder if it still works. Could the cheap ground pads still work? Riaz, Capcom for you is Ghosts and Goblins. Capcom for me is Mega Man 2. That's the game that I'll think of. We got one more image location here that we could put something. Let's see, what do we got to work with? You could do the cart, that's a popular one. Although with arcade, it's not necessarily something that you would really need. Could be the arcade cabinet. We're talking both, CBs. Capcom or Konami. Pick the game that comes into your head right away. The first game. All right, so this is what we'll do. We'll also use visibility conditioning in this scenario. There you go. And Nani, Capcom equals Street Fighter 2 for you. That is also, I mean, that's got to be a pretty popular answer, I would think. Okay, so this is arcade cab. But in this sense, what I'll do is I'll make a copy, I'll paste it here, and this will be the cart, the game cart. So in some scenarios, you'll want a cart. In some scenarios, you'll want the cab. All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to save this out in a second here. I want this to be centered. I also want this one to be centered. I think we're looking okay here. Let's save that out. And C Beats Capcom for you is Mega Man. There's no wrong answer here, because there's so many good games out there. Okay, actually things are looking pretty good here. So I'll jump back in, I'll change cart to the actual cart. Game cart front. Right? And what I'll do is I'll make it so cabinet will only appear. So I'll make this collapsed and have this only appear if the platform, Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it this way, aren't I? Actually, I can do it in a different way. Let's say make it appear when actually, probably the safer way is to make it so if your platform name although I am clearly missing, I don't believe that there's a platform name metadata. Something else I'll tell, oh, here it is, game platform. That makes more sense. Contains arcade, or I guess we'll do one for MAME, just in case somebody's decided to make their platform called MAME. And then for cart, we'll say make it visible, but collapse it if that element, which I called arcade cab, if its visibility is visible, collapse this one. So in all scenarios, there will be an image there and there'll only be one image. Another way we could have done that is just based off of the image itself. So if there's a cart, only display the cart and collapse the arcade cab. But if there isn't a cart, then display the arcade cab. And I thought about doing that way, but one issue is that you might have scenarios where somebody has both for an arcade system. And in that scenario, you would want the arcade cab. I could have done it in reverse. That would have made sense too. Now well. Henry, as you're showing your age with Ghosts and Goblins came out a few years before Street Fighter 2. You were 14 when Ghosts and Goblins came out. I was not that old, but I still remember Ghosts and Goblins, playing that on the NES especially. I had some fun playing that game. I think this is a good enough game list. What I'll probably do is then make a copy of this and paste it in the system view. So the system view hopefully will have a nice look. Now, however, the system view is very, very limited. So I'll just delete all of the extras since I don't actually need them. All of this will be gone. It's a good way to get a base of something in there. So you'll see in the system view that the license is something that has to be there. You know, it's something that we definitely need. I'll put it down here, perfect spot for it. The top image, I'm going to change that image, I believe, this logo. I'm going to change it into just text. And we'll call that text system menu. Center it out. System menu. We'll call it something like, oh, stick with the fonts that we've been using. Oops. Make it really big. Maybe bigger than that. 120. We auto size the height and width. There you go. And what we can do with this is we can use the nifty alignment feature here. Just say get to the top. There we go. We'll bring that down a little bit. And at this point we can get rid of this game clear logo, and we can get rid of the platform logo, which means we now have a little bit more space in this frame to bring up. And align that to the center. Cool. All right, so we got ourselves a system menu. You've got ourselves a game text games menu. And demo, welcome in. You really appreciate all the time put in. You know what? It's my pleasure. I love doing this, and I'm glad that this is something that I can do that other people can benefit from. So what's great about this, and I'll leave it in the aspect ratio 4:3, but know that I am going to change this to just stretch so that it will just fill the screen in whatever monitor configuration you have. But I'm interested to see what it would look like on a 16:9. You can see that the system menu definitely did not stay centered. That's something I can fix for sure. Things seem to go to its corners properly. This seems to stay in a good spot. So far so good. And then we'll check out the last one here. There you go. And you can see that I completely forgot to put the animation on the other side. So let's do that quickly. And this came in super fast. I'm hoping that this could be a bit slower. So I'll put that at 1.2. And then I will grab that animation. And I'm trying to see whether I want it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create a grid. Make it the layout of one of the arcade images, and then I'll just dump the arcade cabs and the cart inside. This way I can only need to apply the animation to one of these, to the grid element, and not to both of the child elements. I'll copy the GameBox animation and then paste the animate on the grid. And now all I have to do is change from off-screen left to off-screen right. And during selection, and that's basically it. In saying that, let's take a look. Close it up. There you go. Okay, I think we're good there. And now the only thing that I need to do is within this horizontal view, I will need to deal with this wheel horizontal image. Let's do that. Let's publish our theme. So this is the one thing that you can't yet do in the community theme creator, which is why I left it for the very end here. And while that's publishing, because it's got about 2,000 publisher logos in there, it's going to take a little while. Let's revisit what this looks like. Can I zoom into this? I can. So So we've got the top here, the bottom, I made my little adjustments to it. And then here, this is what I'm going to have to recreate in the wheel itself, in the new flow control. I can see the border, I can see the clear logo on top, and potentially a screenshot or video here. And then on the sides, this is all blurred out with basically the same sort of thing, but it looks like this could just be the blur. The corner radiuses are a bit more. The border itself is a lot more blue. That just might be because of the background. And so the opacity might be a lot lower on these side items. This is all something we should be able to do with this new flow control. And Adam, hey, welcome in. Glad you could make it for sort of the endish, well, not really the end yet, but we finished creating or mapping out the theme as much as we could inside of the community theme creator. Let's dive into the code. I did the publish, so it should have published in my LaunchBox folder under themes. I did call it Arcade 2Up for now, and we're going to launch and see what it looks like. So without adjusting any settings, okay, let's launch it from here, I guess. Yeah, hope you're having a good Friday, Adam. Welcome in. Okay, so we are going to jump in. Actually, I don't have to do it this way anymore. For people that aren't on the current beta, you'll notice that we made a nice quality of life change that I've been wanting for a while. And now if you click theme here, it'll come up with a menu and you can just choose your theme. We called it Arcade 2Up. There we go. You can also just go left and right through the order of the items as well, and that applies to every single item that within the options menu. Okay, let's take a look at what this theme would look like. Oh, I kept it on stretch. Probably something I shouldn't be doing when I'm trying to build it for... So I'm going to try to build it for a 4x3. So let's do that. Oh, before I do that though, I said I was going to fix the system menu so that it's always remains center no matter what, where I put it. So one way that you can actually do this, I went into the wrong one here. One way you should be able to do this, let's just see if it actually works, is instead of setting a specific auto size of the width, you just make sure that it's something like this. There it is, where it's centered, has enough space for it, and then you just center the alignment of the text, and that should remain centered no matter the aspect ratio. There we go. So now if I jump back to 4x3, it should adjust appropriately. Nice. And let's publish this out one more time, and we'll start here. Adam, you think that the theme's looking really cool? I really hope that the end result will be something that could be used on arcade cabinets with 4x3 or 5x4, 4x5 monitors. When you have like a curated collection, it would probably work best for something like this theme. And Riaz, you're on an annual leave yourself. Your Christmas tree is up. You're drinking rum. Your life is good. That sounds like a good time. The Christmas tree's going up this weekend for me. And it should be a good time to put the Christmas tree up. Demo, you're saying you really love the synthwave 80s feeling, working on it, but got stuck a bit. But with these kinds of sets, you don't have to make one. It's going to be perfect. There you go. Or you can use elements of different things to accomplish your end goal of that perfect theme to give yourself that 80s synth feel. And I know you're still working, but it's a quiet Friday, so that's good. That's good. Glad I could be a small part of that Friday for you. And you believe that the curated collection is the way to go. That is a really cool debate because a curated collection definitely allows you to find the games that you most love a lot quicker. And if you parse down your collection, a smaller library means better performance as well. So lots of things to keep in mind. But what you lose is the ability to find those gems. Those games that you've never really played ever, that maybe you could have stumbled upon. And then if you do that, then it's already sort of there waiting for you. You have to go, oh, that game, look, you find out about a game and then you have to then add it manually, which a lot of people would be completely fine to do. Oh, Ernesto, a new gaming laptop. That sounds awesome. I hope it arrives. I hope it arrives soon. For you. I feel like I'm on the correct theme. Let's jump into arcade and see what we got. So without touching the wheel, this is sort of the wheel that we get. I could adjust the settings of the wheel. I can adjust how wide the spacing of the clear logo. I could change the clear logo to another image, but this old wheel doesn't have a lot of versatility, and you can kind of see that it's not really displaying images that well. So this is why we're going to switch it up a bit. So let's do that. Let's use the new cover flow wheel. Here's our Arcade 2 up here. So here's the theme. We really only have to touch that one view, which is the horizontal wheel 1 games view. So we'll open that up. And the exact section we need to look for, I'm just going to search for flow control. Here it is. Here's the entire flow control wheel from top to bottom. And it really has more than what you really need. So the previous wheel, you only had the ability to touch whatever was inside of this. And you can see all these properties where you're basically saying what's the curve amount, what's the visibility count. In fact, this is a very important property that a lot of people overlook. Page size is how much when people are using page left and right or up and down, how many games it's going to jump per move. Camera Z or Z position. It's going to say where's the camera located based on the position of the wheel in 3D space. Same with this, the selected item or the item position with the selected item position. All this stuff is what you can adjust. And then the image type, you can have one image type. We're going to switch this to the new cover flow control, and let's take a look. Good news is that you won't have to sit here watching me fumble my way through it, because I did create one ahead of time. But what you'll notice is that it allows you to unlock like a template that you can build yourself. from scratch. So we don't need from here to here. What you'll notice is that it's a lot bigger, because I have already placed things inside of it. And the properties inside, it looks very similar up here, and you do have properties in here, and those properties do matter. But now we're only dealing with properties like visibility count. Endless is true. Let me go through some of these properties so that just in case somebody's watching and they're kind of curious. What I've done here is I've created a horizontal wheel. This cover flow can do wall views, horizontal and vertical wheels, depending on these properties here. Now what I told it was only have one row and make that row endless. So basically like a traditional wheel that you would have. I have item spacings to the X and Y coordinates, so I only really need X because my row, it's only one row. And I've made that item spacing 0.5. Selected scale, which is basically the item that you're on, its regular scale will be 1.0, but the selected item, I want it to enlarge it to basically 30%, 1.3. Then we took all of the camera controls and dumped it into this camera here, orthographic camera, which I believe you could change that out to different kinds of cameras. I haven't tried that before, and I don't know what the effect would be, but this camera works in all the situations that I can think of. So I'm usually, you don't have to touch most of this by default, but this width, which is actually sort of, you can think of it like a zoom. So this width, the lower the number, the more closer you are to the item, to the actual wheel. The item gets, the number gets larger, sort of like you're further back from it. So I've actually created what I thought was mostly what we would want. So let's just go through this slowly. Everything inside of the cover flow context is what's going to display. It sort of like represents one item in the wheel. And what I've told it was create a border, have the height 1000 by 800. This will only work if you set some sort of background to it, which is why I set a background and I made that background transparent. If you don't have this, the border height and width will not be respected. Then I decided to put the border thickness, made it white, so that jives with what we have in our picture. We've got a white border. And then of course, we've got all of the styles that we need. The style is basically saying what kind of style do we want to apply to this border. I've added a opacity and an effect of the blur. And then I put a little trigger that's basically saying, make the opacity 1 and set this effect to 0, but only on the selected item. If the item is selected, then make these values true. And then down here, I created my grid and based it and put a background, and then put the clear logo on top and I believe the screenshot and a video on the bottom. And I won't go through any of that. Let's just take a look at what that looks like. I hope it works. There we go. Nice. So one thing that I'd want to do is change a couple things that I'll do, because at this point we're basically done. But you'll notice a couple things. The first thing is that you'll notice that the screenshot is just sort of sitting there after the video comes in. We could probably solve that. So I'll take a look at that. The second thing is that the borders on the side, I do have it blurred, but I kind of want to match it to the screenshot that I saw. And we'll make it a little blue. How about that? I don't know what blue. Maybe I'll just pick this blue color. There you go. And we'll get to that. And mechanical pants, why does the license always have to appear on the screen? And the reason, I'm assuming you're talking about LaunchBox, is that unlike other softwares, LaunchBox is completely DRM free. You can use your license anywhere you want. There's basically no stopping you from using it on as many of your computers as you can, and we felt very highly about doing that. And therefore, because there's no DRM, it's completely DRM free. One way that allows us to keep it DRM free, to keep the program as performant as possible, is to be able to display your name if you bought the license. And Nani Haveran, do you mind if you post a YouTube link to something you're working on tonight while watching your stream? So it's your video that you've worked on something that you're working on. All right, two problems I addressed. Let's solve them. The border's the easier one, I believe, so let's look at that issue. I basically said, if it's not the selected item, make the border blue. So in this case here, I would have to bring out the border brush. So here I'm going to have to set a property of border brush, and the value, I'm going to have to make it that blue color. Okay, so I had it already copied, and we're going to eliminate this here. But down here in my trigger, if it is the selected item, change the value of the border to back to white. All right, so that should do it. Let's take a look at what that looks like. There we go. So we've got a blue border, maybe a little bit too powder blue. Maybe I'll just adjust that color. Should be easy enough to just do that and see what we got. Okay, I probably went a little too far, but it's working, so that's good. I'll do one more take on this blue color. How about this one here? I don't like any of those, but I'll get it. Fact is that it's working, and that this new flow control has the ability to add, actually there's 3 elements here in the flow control, or 5, let's say 5. You got the border, you've got the background grid, you've got the clear logo, a screenshot, and the video, all within the same control. So let's go to this one here. Actually, one of these is a good example. This is a good example where we now want to remove that screenshot if there's a video. We can do that in a number of ways. Let's see if I'm going to be able to do that. So here's the whole video control. I would have to apply it to something else, I believe. Where is the screenshot? So let's take the screenshot and we'll place it here. I don't need this grid. Okay, so far all I did was move the screenshot into where the video lives. All right, so they're both there. Cool. Actually, that's not what I wanted to do. I'd almost have to change this whole thing up. And we'll try something. Let's create cover flow. Flow image. Now we've got a little playing field to work with in here. We'll add the styles. So cover flow, flow image style, style target type. We'll point it to the flow image. Okay, so inside of here, we basically want to say that the opacity is 1. And then we'll give it some style. Let's see, what can we use here? We can use this multi-data trigger. Let's use that. So style triggers, and then inside of there, we'll place this multi-data trigger. And this trigger is basically saying, if there is a video and it's the selected item, do this. So if a game has a video and that video is the selected item, then trigger this storyboard, and we're just going to reverse what the storyboard says of that. Essentially saying fade the screenshot away, and then when you exit the storyboard, when you switch items, bring that screenshot back. How about that? Let's see if that works. And you can see I did that, and now the screenshot's sitting in a very weird spot. Okay, and that's because I removed this. It's also not quite working, unfortunately. Put it back in the wrong spot. Say this one needs to be 3. There you go. At least we can place it back in the right spot. Okay, cool. It's in the right spot. Trigger's not quite there yet, so the trigger values not quite work out well. I'm gonna move this down here. We'll get there. We're gonna have to place it right here. So let me just make sure it's placed in the right spot. It is. It's now above. All right. Let's make sure I got everything right. I'm going to change the target type. So that, let's see what happens. Oh, it did not like that. And Mechanical Pants, you have every right to create a custom LaunchBox theme to do whatever you want. So like LaunchBox has the complete ability to get rid of it. However, if you do remove the license in your custom theme, you won't be allowed to post it anywhere. So just keep that in mind. It would be your own, like, what you do behind closed doors is your own, like, whatever you want. But we can't publicly endorse a theme that has no license there. Just stay aware of that. And Demo, you're saying it's so satisfying to see this theme come to life. You're almost the Bob Ross of Big Box. That's so funny. Yeah, if you want to create a public theme, if you want to share your work, put that license somewhere that you want that fits. It's just got to be displayed on the main LaunchBox window somewhere. There should be a comment there that'll explain it as well if you look through the code. Okay, so the storyboard looks okay, and I think it's just the triggering that's not triggering. So I might need to do something else with another type of trigger. And it might be this one that I'll need. Well, I can have 2 triggers in this thing, so let's add another one. And this one, we will also make it, let's also make it an animation. Oh, great, I'm putting it in the wrong spot. Oh no, I'm good. Let's just go down here and see what's going on here. I see. That's odd. Okay, so we were in the right spot all along. Go down here, we'll grab this. Data trigger, and then we'll have to change all of these to data trigger. That one looked right. This one needs a little adjusting, and then this one also needs adjusting. Data trigger. Okay, so no errors there that I can see. And from what I can tell, I don't think we need that. Could be wrong. Let's find out if that did anything. Oh, there you go. Finally, fading away the screenshot. I do see one problem with that, but I can always solve that later. But what's great about this theme is that it should scale to all the square, wow, that's really loud on my headphones. On all the square aspect ratios. The only thing I don't know is if it will scale to like a 16:9. I don't know how many people would want to use this on 16:9, but if you do, maybe I'll create a view particularly that would scale better with that. I've got more than one horizontal views to play with, and I could always make it so the wheel will show more. Although it might work right off the bat. Who knows? We'll find out. But now that I have this ready to go, I think we're basically good to go. Let's jump to other systems and see what it looks like. One that I might have stuff still. There's Game Boy. Yeah. Everything's showing up. Everything looks all right. scrolling through it. One thing that I didn't notice is this. Okay, so I have this out of position, but it's there and it's working. Look at that. Woo. Dave, hey, welcome in. You're coming to the end of the stream. We've basically created this 4x3, or basically a theme that should be able to stretch well on all different types of screens. And we're using the new flow control to accomplish the wheel in the center there, and it turned out pretty well. It definitely, like, we're using a lot of elements in there, but the way that we have it working is that it's definitely performing quite well. No lag that I can notice on my machine. It's caching images well. We're only caching images that are about five images at a time, which definitely helps. So basically means if you jump into any of your platforms, it'll almost instantly display something, even though it has to load up lots and lots of images for, you know, every game. I am definitely hacking the XAML. I just can't wait until you can get this all working in the community theme creator. We'll get some even more advanced stuff, I'm sure, once we can get it in there. Okay, I think we're good to go. The last thing I'm going to check is jump to the text list view. And of course it's different. We got a few different animations going on there. I'm definitely noticing some stuff that we'll have to do, but it's stuff that I can take care of. Overall, everything looks good. You can see I don't always have a cart image, but if you do, it will display something there. That's pretty cool. One thing, Dave, that we definitely did that particularly proud of this stream is that we are using both max players. We're using both max player and we're using play mode in the bottom left corner, and using visibility conditions to display one or the other in certain scenarios. Essentially, if anything has a number in it, if a play mode has a number in it, hide the max player because it's sort of redundant there. But then you get into a situation like this where you don't have any data for either, and I'll have to work out a scenario for that as well. But other than that, I think we did pretty good. Let's jump back to the horizontal view, sort of like the highlight. This is the view that you would want to use for sure if you're using this on a cab. And it's looking pretty good. It's got the video playing. It's got the screenshot as you're scrolling through, and it's got a pretty nice background video playing at the same time. And total playtime, no, we're not going to cover that yet, just because it's not out yet, and I do want to release this theme by Monday. So hopefully you guys will see this theme posted on the forums by Monday. You can have these files, all the files that I've created here are always available on our forums, and I'll always post a link on the bottom of each video each week to the files, so that you can then use them in any way that you want. But yeah, until then, have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next week. We'll be back next week with hopefully a really good theme. We're getting closer and closer to Christmas. Hopefully you have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon, everybody. All right, Dave, you caught the end of this. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.